Chapter 91. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Huh. This. Luo Tian was stunned for a moment, then looked down at King Xuanhuan, only to find that this guy's eyes were dull and he didn't respond at all. Using soul power to investigate, I found that this guy's soul has been blown into pieces, and even the memory can't be read at all. Today's King Xuanhuan has become a walking dead. Damn, you also designed a self-destruct restriction. Luo Tian was speechless. The other party was rigorous, and in order to keep it secret, they went so far. This made Luo Tian even more curious. Who is the opponent? What is their purpose? Why do you want to do this? But obviously, all this is now impossible to find out. Forget it, since it's involved. If you don't look for them, they will look for me, and then it's fine to see what happens. Thinking of this, Luo Tian picked up King Xuanhuan and walked outside. Mr. Luo Tian, this is King Xuanhuan. What's wrong with him? At the door, Gu Yuning looked at King Xuanhuan with astonishment. Ah, I'm sorry, the one who didn't pay attention made him an idiot. Luo Tian said. Idiot? Gu Yu was stunned. The incomparable king of martial arts turned out to be an idiot. Okay, now that I have avenged my revenge, my anger is gone. I will lend you Jinpeng, and you can handle the rest yourself, right? Luo Tian said. This is of course no problem. Gu Yu said, now that Xuanhuan has become like this, the forces of King Xuanhuan can be said to be leaderless and chaotic. Next to me, there is another strong man in the ruined state sitting in command, so worry about not being able to clean up the mess. You know, in the capital, there are not a few people who are on the side of the royal family. It's just that they were suppressed by the Xuanhuan king's line and dared not speak out. It was night. Luo Tian casually found a place to rest, and in the capital of Night Breeze, a commotion broke out. The chaos lasted for a day and a night before it finally came to an end. By the dawn of the third day, the entire capital of the country had fully recovered, and the ceremony of offering sacrifices to the heaven started on time. At the ceremony of offering sacrifices to heaven, Gu Yuning went on stage in person, told the crimes of King Xuanhuan over the years, and then pushed the king of Xuanhuan, who had become a walking corpse, onto the altar, and many court relatives and military figures who followed Xuanhuan king to rebel were also liquidated. At first, these people still resisted a little, but King Jinpeng suppressed them, and then Gue Yuanzong and other forces came, which completely tilted the balance of power. Those who resisted stubbornly were finally annihilated. Of course, Gu Yuning did not completely kill. For some people who were forced to come together with King Xuanhuan, she still lenient. Not only did not kill them, but continued to let them work for the court. It also reassured some people. Night Breeze Nation soon got on the right track. It wasn't until after everything was over that Gu Yuning came to Luo Tian's side again. Mr. Luo Tian, if you hadn't acted this time, my Yefan royal family would have been doomed. The little girl is here, on behalf of the ancestors of the ancient royal family, to thank Mr. Luo Tian. After finishing speaking, she knelt down on her knees and kowtowed to salute. Luo Tian glanced at her, and said, Your Highness, thank you or something. After all, I'm not mainly doing it for you. However, there are some things that you need to explain, right? Gu Yuning blushed, and said, I'm sorry, Mr. Luo Tian, because I was worried that you would not help me. I concealed the news about my father. As I said in the Xuanhuan palace, my father is indeed not in the capital now. He entered the fake imperial tomb a few years ago in order to save Xuanhuan king. Luo Tian was taken aback, and said, Fake imperial tomb? Gu Yuning nodded and said, That's right, that place. We have been saying to the outside world, that is the imperial tomb of my Gu clan. But no one from my Gu clan is buried there. The reason why we say this to the outside world is to avoid let people come close at will. Oh. Why? Luo Tian became curious. Gu Yuning took a deep breath and said, Because there are several fierce demons sealed there. Fierce demon? Luo Tian looked at her. Gu Yu nodded and said, This is a long story. About 1,000 years ago, there were 3 extremely powerful monsters that ravaged the world and slaughtered countless creatures. In the surrounding countries, a large number of strong men were organized to besiege and kill. But in the end, not only did they all fail, but those who participated in the siege either died or were injured. In the end, even the Heavenly Sun Empire, the overlord of Fenglinzhu, sent 4 strong men over, but in the end, it still failed. Luo Tian was surprised and said, "So strong? What realm do these fierce monsters have?" Gu Yuning shook his head and said, "I don't know about this, but according to the records in my family's ancient books, the real strength of the 3 fierce demons is not their combat power, but their inability to kill them at all." "Can't kill him? Why?" Luo Tian was surprised. The old saying condensed, "I don't know, it's just recorded in the ancient books that there were strong men who suppressed these 3 guys in terms of strength. But in the end, they were all killed by them." So later, the sages thought of a way. When these 3 fierce demons were about to slaughter the capital of my Yefan country, they set up an ambush to seal them in a place of absolute darkness, and then used the real fire of the phoenix as the eye of the array. It formed a yin and yang entanglement and sealed it completely. In order to prevent outsiders from approaching there, we built a fake imperial mausoleum and sealed the entire sealed place. We, the Gu clan, have also become keeper of the seal. After hearing this, Luo Tian nodded and said, "Then what does that emperor father of yours do in such a place?" Gu Yuning said with a wry smile, "Because the phoenix real fire is inside that place of absolute yin, it forms a special place of extreme yin and yang. Under this environment, a special substance will be produced, chaotic spiritual breath. This thing can not only help people cultivate, but most importantly, it also has miraculous effects of healing and detoxification. My royal father was deceived by King Xuanhuan, and entered the fake imperial mausoleum. He wanted to get a portion of the chaotic aura, but he was trapped inside." After finishing speaking, Gu Yuning remained silent. However, she fell silent on her side, while Luo Tian on the other side suddenly stood up. "Wait a minute. What do you think is inside that fake imperial tomb?" Luo Tian asked excitedly. "Ah, chaotic spiritual breath, what's the matter? Young master, have you heard of it?" Gu Yuning asked. Luo Tian patted his thigh, and said, "My God, there is nowhere to find it. I still worry about where to find it, but you have it here. Come, where is the fake imperial tomb? Take me there." Chaos spiritual breath is one of the materials Luo Tian needs to break through to the spirit transformation realm. However, the Luo family has never heard of it. Luo Tian still doesn't know how to find it. Who knows, the news was found here. Chapter 92 Fierce Demon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Your Highness, can you send me to the fake imperial tomb? Luo Tian said. Ah. Gu Yuning shuddered and froze. A moment later, with tears in her eyes, she said, "Young Master Luo Tian, I lied to you. Not only did you ignore the past, you even wanted to rescue my father. I really..." For a moment, she couldn't be more moved. On the other side, Luo Tian was dumbfounded. What is this guy doing? I am going for the chaotic spiritual breath, saving her father or something. At most I can only consider it as a side trip. How did she become like this? No, I want the spiritual breath of chaos. Luo Tian said. When he said this, Gu Yuning became even more excited. Master Luo Tian, I know that people like you don't expect to reciprocate their kindness. You don't need to say it, I understand everything. Gu Yuning said, what do you know? Luo Tian was speechless. Gu Yuning straightened his clothes and saluted again. Mr. Luo Tian, as long as you can save the father, from now on, my Gu Yuning's life will be yours. Even if you let me. I won't say anything more. After finishing speaking, Gu Yuning blushed with embarrassment. Huh? Luo Tian looked at her helplessly. This guy, why is he attacking himself? Moreover, it seems that the strategy is complete. Forget it, don't talk about this yet, take me to the fake imperial tomb. Luo Tian said. Yes. Gu Yuning lowered his head. Soon, the two came to the north of the capital, in a forest hundreds of miles away. Along the way, there are troops stationed here, but with the ancient sayings leading the way, it is naturally unimpeded. Soon, the two came to the entrance of the fake imperial tomb. Young Master Luo Tian, if you go any further, you will be sealing the land of the 3 demons. The phoenix true flame of our royal family can open up a gap for you to enter, my lord. However, once you enter it, it is beyond my control. Gu Yuning said with a worried face. Luo Tian nodded and said, I know, you can do it. Gu Yuning took a deep breath, then rolled up his sleeves, revealing his white arms like lotus roots. On her arm, there is a phoenix tattooed. Seeing Gu Yuning's spiritual flow, the phoenix on her arm, whose eyes were closed, suddenly opened his eyes. Boo! With a sound of phoenix cry, a gust of phoenix real fire, which is as strong as the sun, gushes out from her arm. Rumble. In the next moment, the entrance to the fake imperial tomb suddenly left a crack in space. Gu Yuning's face turned pale, and said, Young Master Luo Tian, the gap has been opened. If you can find my royal father inside, with his phoenix fire, you can open the gap to come out. If you can't find my royal father, 7 days later, I will still be here. Open the crack, and let you come out. Luo Tian nodded and said, I see, thank you. After finishing speaking, Luo Tian stepped forward and entered the crack. Master Luo Tian. Looking at Luo Tian's back, Gu Yuning's face turned red again. Boom. In the next moment, the space rift closed, and everything returned to normal. On the other side, Luo Tian, who rushed into the space crack, felt that he had come to another world. What happened here? Luo Tian looked around, and found that the mountains, rivers, and land were almost intact, and everywhere collapsed, as if it was a scene after the end, and above the sky above the head, there is a huge ball of fire floating, constantly exuding a powerful phoenix breath. Luo Tian knew that that ball of flames was the real fire of the phoenix, and it was also the key to sealing this place. Let's look for it first. Luo Tian thought, then walked inside. Not long after, Luo Tian came to a dark cliff. The cliff wall is as smooth as a mirror, as if cut by a knife, and on the smooth stone wall, there are countless digital traces. This is... Luo Tian looked intently, and saw that although the handwriting was scribbled, it was still recognizable. Death. Luo Tian read out slowly, yes, on the entire cliff, there are countless words of wishing to die. What the hell? Who wants to die? Luo Tian was suddenly puzzled at this time. Ow! A shrill roar came from a distance. What's going on? Luo Tian was startled. The voice was too scary. He teleported to the top of the rock and looked in the direction of the sound, but seeing this, he was startled too. On top of the ruins in the distance, a huge white bone skeleton walked slowly. There are 12 arms growing on the skeleton, flapping continuously in the air. Every slap will shatter a piece of the earth. Rumble. And at this moment, another tall figure appeared from the ground on the other side, and that figure looked more like a human being, but that guy exuded a powerful resentment, holding a sword in his hand, and black flames wrapped around the sword. After the two figures appeared, they collided quickly and clashed continuously. Seeing this scene, Luo Tian finally understood why this place was so dilapidated. It's strange that two monsters like this are fighting here, and it's not ruined. Could it be this fierce monster? Luo Tian said to himself. At this moment, Luo Tian's mind suddenly moved, and he turned his head to look. I saw an old man walking slowly behind me. The old man seemed to have also seen Luo Tian, and his expression changed immediately. How did you come in? The old man panicked. Luo Tian was about to explain, but the old man waved his hand and said nervously, Don't talk, don't make a sound. Hold back your breath and follow me, don't disturb those two guys. Seeing him like this, Luo Tian had no choice but to follow the old man, turning left and right, and walked far away, until he could no longer see the figures of the two monsters, then stopped. The old man breathed a sigh of relief, looked Luo Tian up and down, frowned and said, Little baby, are you crazy? What are you doing here? You don't know where this is? Luo Tian nodded and said, I know that the fake emperor's tomb in Yefeng Kingdom is the place where the 3 fierce demons are sealed. The old man glanced at him and said, You still come in after knowing? Luo Tian smiled and said, I come here, naturally I have my business. Old man, you are His Majesty the Emperor of our Yefeng country, right? I was entrusted by Gu Yuning to find you out. Here, to meet such an old man, who else could there be except for the Emperor of the Night Breeze Kingdom who came in a few years ago? However, Oh, you are looking for the emperor, but unfortunately you are looking for the wrong person, I am not him. The old man said. Ah. You're not. Luo Tian was dumbfounded at this moment. This old man is not the emperor of the Night Breeze country, so who could it be? The old man got up and clapped his hands, saying, Okay, since you are here to find that guy, come with me, if you can take him away, that's the best, don't come here in the future. After saying that, he turned around and left. Chapter 93 Skeleton Monster. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Luo Tian was stunned for a moment, but decided to follow him. Old man, who are you? Luo Tian was full of suspicion. Me? Hee, just a damn old guy. The old man laughed. Luo Tian asked again, but the old man stopped talking. Soon, the two came to a hidden cave. Around the cave, there are restrictions, which can not only block the breath, but also prevent attacks. Probably because of this prohibition, the cave was preserved. That guy is right there, still alive, but it's no different from death. The old man said with a finger pointing. Luo Tian looked in the direction of his finger. I saw a middle-aged man lying on a stone bed, skinny and dying. What happened to him? Luo Tian asked. Well, a few years ago, this guy came here. I don't know if he was unlucky or lucky. When he came, he ran into the skeleton you saw just now, and was slapped away with a claw. In the end, he didn't get slapped to death. I picked it up and put it here temporarily. It's just that he was injured too badly. I tried to save him, but the injury didn't improve. I've been hanging by a breath of spiritual energy for the past few years. Just half a month ago, I was completely unconscious. If I continue to stay here, I'm afraid it's a few days to live. The old man shook his head and sighed. This. Luo Tian glanced at the comatose emperor, frowned and said, Didn't you say that there is chaos spiritual energy here? That thing should be very effective in healing. Hearing this, the old man's expression changed, and he said, There is indeed a chaotic breath, but I can't take it. Why? Luo Tian was surprised. The old man shook his head and said, You don't understand even if you tell me, but if you want to, I can show you the way, and you can go get it yourself, and you should be able to save him. Although Luo Tian was suspicious, he still nodded and said, All right then, please ask Senior to show me the way. The old man waved his hand and led Luo Tian out of the cave. Look over there, where the afterglow of the phoenix falls, there is the aura of chaos. But remember, you must come back before the afterglow goes out, and no matter who talks to you on the way, ignore him. The old man said solemnly. Why? Luo Tian was full of question marks. You don't have to ask why, go and come back quickly. According to my estimation, you still have an hour. Within an hour, you must come back, and then stay in this cave. I don't look for you, you can't die, come out. Said the old man. This, all right. Although Luo Tian didn't know what the old man meant, but now that I am in a hurry to get the chaos spiritual breath, it is better to do as he said. Thinking like this, his figure flickered, and he teleported directly to 1,000 meters away. Huh? This movement. The old man was shocked when he saw Luo Tian's movement. On the other side, Tiandao hurried on his way, and Luo Tian quickly came to the location where Phoenix Jue was. On a piece of dilapidated land, countless milky white chaotic auras are scattered in countless potholes. Oh! There are so many. Luo Tian's eyes lit up when he saw this, and he immediately began to collect them. It's just that, although it seems that there are a lot of chaotic spiritual breaths, after collecting them, it turns out that there are not many. Luo Tian walked through more than a dozen deep pits, but in the end he only collected half a bottle. At this moment, the surrounding light gradually began to dim. Obviously, the afterglow of the phoenix is about to run out, that is, the night of this sealed land is coming. Forget it, it should be enough. Luo Tian thought, turned and left, but at this moment, he suddenly saw a woman walking over in the distance. Huh? Is there anyone else? Luo Tian was taken aback when he saw this scene. How could there be so many people in this sealed place? How many people have been let in by this ancient royal family in recent years? In the distance, the woman also saw Luo Tian. She glanced at Luo Tian. There seemed to be some astonishment in her eyes, but she soon calmed down. "If you don't want to die, go away," she said. Luo Tian frowned, but did not attack. After all, he could feel that although the woman's words were not pleasant, they were not malicious. "Forget it." He shook his head, turned and left. Puff, just as he turned around, he saw the woman fall directly to the ground. "Huh? Are you okay?" Luo Tian was taken aback, and came to the woman to check. Until then, Luo Tian Kai discovered that there were countless sword marks on the woman's body. With such a serious injury, I don't know how she survived it. This guy. "Forget it, let me show some kindness." Luo Tian thought, dragged the woman, and threw her into a deep pit with chaotic aura. This thing has a healing effect, and I think she will recover quickly. But at the moment when she was thrown into the chaotic spirit, the woman suddenly let out a shrill scream and woke up from the coma. "Ha! What's wrong with you?" Luo Tian was shocked when he saw this. "Isn't this chaotic spiritual breath able to heal wounds? How do you look at her, as if she has been hurt a lot?" At this moment, the woman's face was distorted. "Go! Get out of here quickly!" the woman shouted sharply. Well, did I do something wrong?" Luo Tian suddenly felt a little guilty. It would be inappropriate if he cheated others. "Go, go!" At this moment, the woman kept roaring. At the end, the sound stopped abruptly. Immediately afterwards, the woman's body began to change. "If you don't let me go, if that's the case, you can die here." The woman let out a roar, and then her body suddenly became bigger, and countless white bones poured out of her body. Call. In the next moment, her whole body turned into a huge bone monster. "Ha! Isn't this the guy?" Luo Tian recognized it at a glance. The woman in front of him was the monster he saw in the distance when he first came here, that is, one of the 3 fierce demons who were sealed. "Die!" At this moment, the bone monster slapped Luo Tian with a palm. Seeing this, Luo Tian greeted him with a backhand. Boom! A pair of palms of different sizes collided together, making a deafening bang, and amidst the loud noise, there was another voice, which was particularly ear-piercing. Click. In Luo Tian's other hand, he held the jade bottle containing the aura of chaos. As a result, he slapped the palm this time, and the aftermath came, directly shattering the jade bottle. In an instant, the chaotic aura that had been collected with great difficulty flowed out in an instant and scattered all over the ground. Seeing this, Luo Tian's mouth twitched. "You bastard, do you know how hard it is to collect this thing?" Luo Tian said, slowly raising his head, looking at the skeleton monster with cold eyes. This skeleton monster originally looked like it was showing its teeth and claws, ready to kill Luo Tian, but when she saw Luo Tian's eyes, she couldn't help shivering. Chapter 94 Beating the 3 Demons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But in the next moment, the skeleton monster regained its ferocious state again, raised a huge white bone claw, and patted Luo Tian down. Boom! In the next moment, there was a loud noise, and the huge white bone giant claw flew into the sky. "What?" The bone monster looked up at its broken claw for a moment, then suddenly looked down at Luo Tian. "I gave you a face, right?" Luo Tian's face turned completely cold. Call. In the next moment, he teleported into the air and punched the opponent with a punch. The skeleton monster froze for a moment, and immediately used a few bone claws to resist, but, boom! In the next moment, this guy's huge body was directly blasted thousands of feet away, leaving a deep ravine on the ground. Oh! There was a piercing roar from the throat of the skeleton monster. When she looked down, she realized that half of her arm had been wiped out. "Ow!" This guy roared into the sky. In the next moment, the arm that was originally severed grew back in an instant. Not only that, but a layer of black light condensed on the skeleton monster, exuding a terrifying coercion. Boom! In the next moment, her huge figure moved and rushed directly towards Luo Tian. The terrifying power crushed the space along the way and began to collapse. In just a blink of an eye, this guy won in front of Luo Tian, ready to give Luo Tian a fatal blow. However, boom! Luo Tian slapped him again. the body of the skeleton monster was blown away again. This time, she flew farther, and in mid-air, countless white bones fell from her body, and when they landed, they almost shattered completely. But just when this guy was about to completely dissipate, a black light flashed, and a huge white bone body grew out in an instant, returning to its original state. Oh. They're not dead. Luo Tian was taken aback when he saw this scene. Well, as expected of a legendary monster, he is indeed immortal. Then, let's be a little more serious. Luo Tian said, clasping his hands together, call. Suddenly, behind Luo Tian, a huge blurry figure condensed. I couldn't see the figure's appearance clearly, I could only vaguely see it, and its movements were consistent with Luo Tian's. Ow! And at this moment, the skeleton monster charged towards Luo Tian for the third time. Heavenly Dao Palm. Luo Tian said lightly, and pushed out a palm, and behind him, that figure made exactly the same pose as Luo Tian. In an instant, a huge palm moved towards the skeleton monster. Woo! The skeleton monster frantically attacked the palm. However, her attack was completely like a fly shaking a tree. Rumble. Finally, that palm fell, crushed by the terrifying force of the palm, and the skeleton monster completely dissipated. Looking for death. Luo Tian shook his head and muttered to himself, before turning around and leaving. Who knew at this moment? Click, click, there was a crackling sound, and in mid-air, a white bone began to condense. After just a few breaths, it grew into the appearance of a skeleton monster again. Ah! They're not dead. At this moment, even Luo Tian was stunned. You know, the power of that palm just now, even if it is a catastrophe, is enough to smash it to pieces, but this skeleton monster can still survive. Is it really immortal? Luo Tian frowned. This kind of thing is unheard of. On the other side, after the skeleton monster appeared, it seemed to have calmed down a bit. She looked at Luo Tian vigilantly, and then let out a roar towards the sky. Immediately afterwards, from two different directions in the distance, two different roars were issued in response. The next moment, boom! A mountain collapsed in the distance, and a humanoid monster with a black giant sword came galloping. Wherever this guy passed, countless mountains collapsed. It's this guy. Luo Tian recognized at a glance that this thing was another monster that he saw fighting with the skeleton monster when he just entered the seal. Rumble. In another direction, the ground was suddenly overturned, and a monster dripping with lava drilled out from under the ground. Is this the three demons? It's all there. Luo Tian looked at the three guys and nodded to himself. Roar! The three demons let out a roar at the same time, and then jointly attacked Luo Tian. The aura of each of these three guys is so strong that it is suffocating. At least it's at the peak level of crossing tribulation. The power of the three guys is even more terrifying. However, bang, bang, bang. After three muffled sounds, the three huge figures flew upside down at the same time. Heavenly sword art. Luo Tian even drew his sword straight out, and slashed at the three guys each. In an instant, the terrifying sword chi crisscrossed. The powerful three demons were crushed instantly by the sword energy. Okay. But in the next moment, Luo Tian frowned. The bodies of these three guys actually recovered again. I don't believe it anymore. Are you really immortal? A sternness flashed in Luo Tian's eyes. In the next moment, the sword energy in his hand was like a rainbow, attacking the three demons continuously. Even though the three demons were immortal, they were instantly killed every time they recovered. Don't even mention fighting back. You can't even escape. Finally, after being instant killed dozens of times in a row, the bone monster was the first to fail. Boom. After being crushed to pieces for the last time, a figure fell from a piece of shattered bones. It was the woman Luo Tian had seen before. On the other side, the monster holding the sword shattered for the second time, and a long-haired middle-aged man was stripped from its huge body. And the guy who appeared last, after his body collapsed, an old man fell out. Huh. Luo Tian originally planned to give these three guys a final blow. However, after seeing the old man, Luo Tian's hand stopped immediately. Why is this guy? Luo Tian asked in surprise. That old man was the one who took Luo Tian to hide in the cave earlier. This guy is actually one of the three demons. However, it shouldn't. Aren't the legendary three demons bloodthirsty demons who have killed countless evils? But the old man before, no matter how you look at it, he was a good person. What's happening here? Luo Tian was full of doubts, but in the end he didn't make a move. He pulled all three of them together. At this moment, the three of them were covered with wounds all over their bodies. It was obvious that they were seriously injured, and they passed out in a coma. Luo Tian shook his head, ignored them for the time being, but continued to hold the bottle to collect Chaos spiritual breath. It's just that after a big battle just now, the topography here has changed. It becomes more and more difficult to collect Chaos spiritual breath. This time, it took several hours for Luo Tian to collect enough chaotic breath. At the same time, it hurts so much. What's wrong with me? The middle-aged man among the three demons was the first to wake up. Chapter 95 Fallen Immortal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are you awake? Luo Tian looked at the middle-aged man and asked. The middle-aged man was startled when he saw Luo Tian, and asked, "Who are you?" In the next moment, his expression changed, and he said to Luo Tian, "Hurry up, I can't control myself anymore, I don't want to kill you, hurry up." Seeing this scene, Luo Tian became even more speechless. What's up with this guy? He is obviously a devil, but he still let himself escape. And, kill yourself? Does he have the ability? It hurts so much. At this time, the woman also woke up. She rubbed the wound on her body, and suddenly saw Luo Tian. How is it possible? You're not dead. She was surprised. Qinglian, what's going on? The middle-aged man asked in surprise. Before the woman could speak, the old man among the three also coughed. Why am I not dead yet? The old man's tone seemed very disappointed. This is... He was shocked when he saw Luo Tian. You just defeated the three of us. Who are you? The old man asked in surprise. Luo Tian rolled his eyes at him, and said, I should ask you this, right? As one of the legendary three demons, you are so focused on saving people. What's the situation with you three? The three looked at each other, and finally the old man sighed. Forget it, it's not a secret anyway, so I'll tell you. As he spoke, he told the story of the three of them. It turned out that these three people were all from the Northern Territory, and they were also famous geniuses more than 1,000 years ago. The woman among them, named Fu Qinglian, is a saintess of a great sect. The middle-aged man's name is Jian Yi, and he is a swordsman genius determined by his talent, and the old man, named Yi Tongling, was the leading formation genius at that time. The three have known each other for many years and have similar personalities, so they became sworn brothers and sisters. However, although the three of them were extremely talented, after they reached the peak of the tribulation transcending realm, they encountered their own bottlenecks, and they couldn't break through after exhausting all methods. Among the three, Yi Tongling, the oldest one, is nearing the end of his lifespan, and if he doesn't break through, his soul may return to heaven and earth. So, the three of them traveled all over the world, looking for a way to break through. Finally, the hard work paid off, and Jian Yi accidentally discovered the tomb of an ancient fairy. Inside, there is a way to break through the tribulation realm. So, the three met and entered the fairy tomb together. After many obstacles, the three finally came to the depths of the fairy tomb and saw the fairy coffin. The excited three opened the fairy coffin. Having said this, Yi Tongling suddenly stopped, with a painful expression on his face. The other two also clenched their teeth. Luo Tian looked at the three of them and said, So, the fairy tomb is fake. Yi Tongling shook his head and said, It can't be said to be fake, but what is buried inside is not an ordinary fairy, but a finger bone of a fallen fairy. Fallen immortal? Luo Tian was surprised. Jian Yi explained, The so-called fallen immortals are immortals who have fallen into the evil way. This kind of guy is often more evil than real demons. Luo Tian said clearly, So, you are polluted by the breath of fallen immortals. The three nodded silently. Then, it was Yi Tongling who said, The news about the so-called immortal tomb is simply a hoax. The fallen immortal was dismembered and buried for unknown reasons, but this guy does not give up and wants to be resurrected. So, he used means to lure powerful practitioners in, and then used his breath to pollute us. wanting us to become his slaves. Indeed, after being polluted by him, we broke through the shackles of the realm and gained immortality. Ordinary methods can hardly kill us. However, correspondingly, our bodies, including our consciousness, are being corroded by the aura of fallen immortals every day. Every day, we will go mad and become demons who only know how to kill. If you want to stay sane, you can only use a lot of blood to wash away the aura of the fallen immortal. But in this way, we also have to kill a lot of people. Luo Tian heard this, and said quietly, that is to say, once you go crazy, you will kill. And if you don't want to go crazy, you also have to rely on killing to maintain your sanity. All three nodded. Luo Tian frowned and said, the methods of the fallen immortal are quite vicious. Fu Qingnian smiled wryly and said, who says no? But, the three of us are not bloodthirsty people. When we realized that something was wrong, we wanted to use suicide to break the deadlock, but, no matter what we do, none of us can die. After finishing speaking, she gritted her teeth fiercely, and tears kept streaming down her face. Luo Tian looked at her, and said, so, you also wrote down the request for death on the cliff. The three nodded again. Then, it was actually your intention to be sealed here? Luo Tian asked. Yi Tongling nodded and said, of course, this is the best way we can think of. From choosing the sealing place to sealing our formation, everything is done by me. Since we can't die, let the three of us, sealed until the end of time, it will save some murders. Hearing this, Luo Tian couldn't help but look at the three of them with admiration. Unexpectedly, the three guys known as the three demons turned out to be kind-hearted people. So, this chaos spiritual breath. Luo Tian thought of something, holding the chaos spiritual breath in his hand. Yi Tongling nodded and said, our bodies are polluted by the qi of fallen immortals. And this chaotic spiritual breath is the purest thing generated under the junction of yin and yang. They repel each other. If we approach rashly, it will cause difficult imaginary consequences. That's why I can't save that guy who is the emperor. After hearing this, Luo Tian finally understood, why did she suffer so much when she threw Fu Qingnian into the chaotic aura before. At this moment, Fu Qingnian looked at Luo Tian and said, young master, how did you recover us just now? The other two also looked at Luo Tian with curious expressions. After the three of them were demonized, their memories were also blurred, so they didn't remember what happened just now. Ordinarily, after being demonized, their strength is terrifying and abnormal. If they don't kill the person in front of them, they can't recover. Luo Tian looked at the three of them, and said with a sneer, it's nothing, I just beat you to death dozens of times. What? All three were shocked. Kill them dozens of times. Is there such a person in this world? But looking at Luo Tian's appearance and the wreckage on the ground, the three of them understood that Luo Tian was not lying. Doesn't that mean? The three of them looked at each other and knelt in front of Luo Tian at the same time. Young master, please kill the three of us. The three said at the same time. Ah. Luo Tian looked at the three of them, frowning. My lord, for thousands of years, we have been eroded by the spirit of fallen immortals every day, and we are in great pain. If this continues, sooner or later we will completely become the slaves of the fallen immortals, and become walking corpses who only know how to kill. So, please kill me, my lord. The three of us. Said the three. Chapter 96 Suppressing the Spirit of the Fallen Immortal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. My lord, please kill the three of us. The three spoke sincerely again, looking at the three people in front of him. Luo Tian was a little at a loss. According to Luo Tian's temperament, if it was an enemy, Luo Tian would kill him without hesitation, but the situation of these three people in front of them is a bit special. If he killed the three guys in front of him like this, he would have a hard time getting over the hurdle in his heart. I said, is there no other way? Luo Tian looked at the three of them and asked. Yi Tongling smiled wryly, if there is another way, why should the three of us seal ourselves up here and beg for death every day? At least, as far as we know, there is no way. Fu Qingnian also added, that's right, if you want to maintain your sanity, you must use blood to cleanse the spirit of the fallen immortal. If you don't want to kill, you will fall into madness. This is a dead end. Looking at the three of them, Luo Tian suddenly felt his heart skip a beat, and said, that means, using blood can temporarily suppress the aura of the fallen immortal. Jian nodded, and said, that's right, but to suppress the chi of the fallen immortal, the amount of blood needed is astonishingly large. Luo Tian stretched out his hand and cut his fingertips. Call. In an instant, a drop of golden blood floated on his hand. 3. Who will try this? Luo Tian said. Ha! Young master, you want to. Seeing this scene, Yi Tongling understood Luo Tian's thoughts. My lord, I advise you to give up. I've said it all, if you want to suppress the chi of the fallen immortal, you can't solve it with just one drop. Luo Tian looked at him and said, don't be so absolute, just give it a try, if it doesn't work, I'll kill you again. Yi Tongling thought for a while, then nodded and said, forget it, since that's the case, I'll try it. As he spoke, he took the drop of Luo Tian's blood and swallowed it directly into his stomach. Seeing this, Fu Qinglian on the side smiled wryly and said, my lord, why waste this drop of blood? It's useless. Jian Yi was also silent, and at this moment. Ha! Yi Tongling stared suddenly, the veins on his forehead popped up, and his body kept shaking. Come again so soon? The other two were shocked when they saw this. It is said that the chi of the fallen immortal has just erupted, and it is reasonable to say that it will take a while before it will be demonized, but Yi Tongling in front of him, why did he? Master Luo Tian, kill my elder brother quickly. Fu Qinglian gritted her teeth and said, to her, death was already a relief. However, Luo Tian didn't move, but looked at Yi Tongling indifferently. What? Yi Tongling suddenly raised his head to the sky and let out a long roar. The waves of air surged straight into the sky, a faint golden light radiated from his body, full of vitality. It's completely different from the feeling when I was demonized before. On the side, Fu Qinglian and Jian Yi also noticed the abnormality. The two stood up suddenly and looked at their elder brother in astonishment. After a long time, the golden light on Yi Tongling's body subsided, and his face became much ruddy. How could it be like this? Yi Tongling looked at his arm in shock at this moment. Brother, what's wrong? The other two also looked curiously. Yi Tongling raised his head and said, the chi of the fallen immortal has been suppressed. What? The other two all exclaimed. I couldn't believe my ears. Before that, they tried to use a lot of blood to temporarily suppress the spread of the chi of the fallen immortal, but now, the chi of the fallen immortal in Yi Tongling's body was suppressed by a drop of blood. Well, but the chi of the fallen immortal is just dormant and has not dissipated. However, I think the power of this suppression will not turn around for at least a year. Yi Tongling said in surprise. A year? The other two were still very shocked after hearing this. It is already a luxury for them to stay sober for a year. Wait a minute, I think, it seems to be okay. At this moment, Yi Tongling closed his eyes. The next moment, boom. Yi Tongling's body was demonized again, turning into a lava monster. What? Didn't you say that it has been suppressed? Oh, is it still okay? Seeing this, the other two were in despair, but the lava monster waved his hand and said, don't be nervous, it's still me. Ha! Can you stay sane? Fu Qinglian covered her lips with an expression of disbelief. Having experienced countless demonizations, she knows that feeling very well. After each demonization, they will lose their minds and become pure walking dead, but in front of him, Yi Tongling's body has been demonized, his strength has not decreased, but he can still maintain his rationality. What is this? The pollution of the chi of the fallen immortal actually became a boost. Call. On the other side, Yi Tongling returned to his human form. Well, now I can control the power of the chi of the fallen immortal. However, once demonized, the consumption speed of that drop of blood has also doubled. If the demonized state continues, it is estimated that at most it can only suppressed for half a year. Yi Tongling analyzed. He is a master of formations and good at calculation, so his judgment will not be wrong. Hearing this, the other two were shocked again. Unexpectedly, it can still be like this. Luo Tian on the side nodded and said, sure enough, I guessed right, the aura of fallen immortals in you can be suppressed. It's just that the blood you found before is too weak. Now one drop of blood can be suppressed for a year, and when my cultivation base continues to strengthen, the suppression time will become longer and longer. Finally, as long as I am strong enough, sooner or later I will be able to completely solve the problem of the Qi of the fallen immortal. After listening to Luo Tian's analysis, the three of them looked at each other, then knelt down in front of Luo Tian. Young master, for thousands of years, the three of us have never thought that there will be a day of recovery. Every day for thousands of years, we have spent in despair. It is young master, who gave me three people hope. Young master, I may not understand, but the word hope is such a luxury for the three of us. The lives of the three of us are given by the young master. From now on, the three of us are willing to serve the young master as the master, and the three of us will die without hesitation. After finishing speaking, the three kowtowed out 3 times to Luo Tian. Seeing this, Luo Tian hurriedly got the three of them up, and gave each of the other 2 a drop of blood. I'm not too polite, since that's the case, the 3 of you will be the protectors of my Luo family. Luo Tian is clear about the strength of the 3 demons in front of him. With these 3 people sitting in Bianbei City, even if the power of a neighboring country invades, it is estimated that they will not be able to hurt the Luo family in the slightest. Thank you master. Fu Qinglian and the 2 also swallowed the blood and refined it. After refining, like Yi Tongling, they suppressed the Qi of the fallen immortal, and they were free to demonize and maintain their rationality. After finishing all this, Luo Tian clapped his hands and said, "Okay, the matter is almost done. Let's take the old emperor of the Gu family back." Chapter 97 Sky Frost Martial Art. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Then, the 3 found the place where the old emperor was hiding, picked up the old emperor who was still in a coma, and left. This seal was originally designed by Yi Tongling. In the past, he just wanted to call himself here forever, so he didn't leave. Now that the hidden danger is temporarily lifted, how can he be trapped here? With his help, the gap in the seal was quickly opened. On the other side, the imperial capital of Night Breeze Kingdom, outside the fake imperial tomb, Guyu stayed at the place where he and Luo Tian were separated, extremely anxious. Half a day has passed, and I don't know what happened to Mr. Luo Tian, and the father. Thinking of his father who disappeared for several years, and the legend of the 3 demons, Gu Yuning became more and more restless. Perhaps I was wrong to let Mr. Luo Tian go in. What if he can't come out again? Gu Yuning began to regret. At this time, in front of her, the space suddenly began to distort. Could it be? Guyu froze for a moment, then was overjoyed. Obviously, this is a sign that the seal has been opened from the inside, and who else can open the seal from the inside? Call. At this moment, a crack in space appeared, and Luo Tian walked out slowly with the 3 demons. Mr. Luo Tian. Father Emperor. Guyu turned his eyes and instantly saw the Emperor. At this moment, the Emperor of Yefeng Kingdom was being carried on his shoulder by Jian Yi. Father, how are you? Guyu stared at his unconscious father, pale with fright. Don't be nervous, the person is still alive. Let's go back first. Luo Tian said. Gu Yuning nodded and left with the others. There are 3 demons, so the speed of going back is much faster. Several people quickly entered the palace. After entering the palace, Gu Yuning ordered everyone not to approach, and put the emperor in a secret room. At this moment, Luo Tian Kai took out the chaos spiritual breath from his bosom. This thing is a holy medicine for healing. He took out half of the chaotic aura and poured it into the emperor's mouth. The emperor, who was on the verge of death, quickly began to recover, although he did not wake up immediately, but at present, it seems that his life is saved. Wake up, it's just a matter of time. Only then did Gu Yuning let out a sigh of relief. Then she bowed down to Luo Tian, and said, "Thank you son for saving my father. Ever since I let you enter the seal, I have started to regret it. After all, in the seal, there are 3 murderous, heinous devil. If something happens to you, then I really will die." After finishing speaking, she wiped away her tears, then looked at the 3 people behind Luo Tian, and said suspiciously, "By the way, I haven't asked for advice yet. These 3 are." Luo Tian looked at the embarrassing 3 people at this moment, and said, "Can you introduce yourself?" Fu Qingnian coughed lightly and said, Your Highness, the three of us are the three villains who kill people without blinking an eye. Ah! Gu Yuning listened, and jumped out of the way in fright. What the hell? These three people turned out to be the three demons mentioned in the ancient books. You know, it was said in the classics of her ancient family that the birth of the three demons will bring about a heinous massacre, and the entire Night Breeze country may be destroyed by then. Now that these three people have come out, isn't it? She quickly looked at Luo Tian. Don't worry, it's the way it is. Luo Tian didn't hide anything, so he roughly talked about the past of the three demons and how he temporarily relieved the chi of the fallen immortal. Only then did Gu Yuning let out a sigh of relief. However, this information is too shocking. It is completely different from the common sense she has learned in the past 10 years. Even with Luo Tian's explanation, when she saw the three demons, she still instinctively resisted and feared. And the three demons accepted it frankly. Apparently, the three demons who had been human in 2 lifetimes had already opened up their minds and didn't take these things to heart. By the way, Princess, I still have something to ask for your help. Luo Tian suddenly said to Gu Yuning. My lord, just tell me. Gu Yuning said. I need some special materials for cultivation, and I can't buy them in Bianbei City. Please look them up for me. Luo Tian said, handing over a list. What was written on it was exactly the materials he needed for cultivation. The Luo family could not find these materials, but Gu Yuning, as the princess of a country, cannot use manpower and information that a family can match. Sure enough, within half a day, Gu Yuning found Luo Tian again. Young master, most of the materials on the list can be found in the capital. But there are 2 things that I don't have in Yefeng country. Gu Yuning said. Oh. Which 2? Luo Tian asked. Gu Yuning pointed with his finger and said, one is the scarlet blood spirit orb, and the other is the yellow spring and blue falling water. Luo Tian frowned, and said, then do you know where these 2 things are? That the old saying nodded and said, I know, the scarlet blood Lingzhu is relatively simple. This product is produced in the Xuanhuan kingdom. Although the quantity is rare, there will be some every year. I ordered my servants to check. In the past few years, the Tianshuang martial art of the Tianshuang kingdom among the prizes, there is the scarlet blood Lingzhu. Sky Frost martial art. What is that? Luo Tian asked. The old saying condensed, it is a martial arts meeting held by the Tianshuang kingdom. Young people from surrounding countries can participate. Those who perform well in the Tianshuang martial arts will not only get rich prizes, but also get the opportunity to enter Mount Sumeru. Qualifications. Mount Sumeru. Luo Tian repeated. Gu Yuning continued to explain, Mount Sumeru is one of the 3 secret realms in our entire Fenglinzhu. Every time it is opened, it will attract the powerhouses from the entire Fenglinzhu and even most of the northern regions. At Mount Sumeru, the benefits you can get are extremely astonishing. Even if all the secrets of our Night Breeze country are added together, it is probably less than 1/10,000th of Mount Sumeru. And Mr. Luo Tian, the Huangquan Biluo Shui you need is also in this Mount Sumeru. Luo Tian said in surprise, so powerful. Then who in our Yefeng country will participate in this Tianshuang martial art? Gu Yuning suddenly became embarrassed, and said, well, in the early years, we sent people to participate, but I, the pride of Yefeng nation, never won a game, and even went to Tianshuang nation a few times later. Most of the people died in the martial arts arena. Even if they came back alive, they were basically disabled. So, 12 years ago, after my father discussed with the representatives of several major forces, he no longer sent people to participate in this Tianshuang martial arts. After listening to Luo Tian, he nodded and said, so that's the case. If that's the case, then I'll just go there by myself. Do I need any procedures to go to the Tianshuang martial art? Gu Yuning suddenly raised his head, looked at Luo Tian and said, Mr. Luo Tian, are you going to participate in the Tianshuang martial arts? Luo Tian nodded and said, of course, these 2 materials are what I must obtain. Chapter 98. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gu Yuning said with great joy, if you are really willing to participate in the Tianshuang martial arts competition, you will definitely win the first place and win an honor for my Night Breeze nation, that because of the Tianshuang Wujue incident, Yefeng nation could hardly hold its head up in front of other countries. It is also a good thing for the Gu family to have Luo Tian take action now. After that, Gu Yuning took out a token that had been dusty for more than 10 years from the treasury, and handed it to Luo Tian. Young Master Luo Tian, this is the certificate to participate in the Tianshuang martial arts competition. The date of this year's Tianshuang martial arts competition will be next month. Please join me at that time. Gu Yuning said. Luo Tian took the token, and then bid farewell to Gu Yuning, and returned to Luo's house with King Jinpeng and the 3 demons. After all, it's been several days since he left home, and before going to Tianshuang Kingdom, Luo Tian still has some things to explain. When approaching Bianbei City, Yi Tongling looked at the city, frowning. Seeing his expression, Luo Tian asked, "Old Yi, what's wrong?" Yi Tongling hurriedly said, "My lord, Beicheng is located in a remote place, with poor feng shui and thin spiritual energy. It is no problem for ordinary people to live there. However, if you want to build a first-class power, it is far from enough." Luo Tiandao, what is Mr. Ye's opinion? Yi Tongling said, "Young master, you can find a blessed place full of spiritual energy and build another family." Luo Tian thought for a while, then shook his head and said, "It's hard to leave the homeland. Even if I agree, the people in the clan may not be willing." Yi Tongling said, "Then there is another strategy. We can use special means to pull the spiritual veins of the earth and create a blessed place here." Luo Tian was surprised. "Can it still be like this?" Yi Tongling said with a smile, "Of course, otherwise, my lord would think that the residences of those aristocratic families and famous sects would maintain their aura for thousands of years. It's not all because of this special method." "Then Yi Lao knows this kind of method?" Luo Tian asked. Yi Tongling nodded and said, "To tell you the truth, my master, the art of drawing spiritual veins is my subordinate's forte. My son, please take a look." As he said that, Yi Tongling floated down, his hands formed seals, and spiritual scripts flew out of his body and fell into the ground. Not for a while, not far away, a white deer with white light coming from a distance. Bailu's eyes were very vigilant. He tried several times, and finally decided to come over, landed next to Yi Tongling, and then gradually disappeared. Call. As the white deer dissipated, the aura around him suddenly increased. Until this moment, Yi Tongling withdrew his hands, and a trace of sweat gradually appeared on his forehead. "Old Yi, that was just now." Luo Tian looked at Yi Tongling and asked. Yi Tongling smiled and said, "The so-called spiritual veins are like the meridians of the earth. The larger the spiritual veins, the stronger the spiritual energy they can produce. And the strong enough spiritual veins can transform into form, and even produce spiritual wisdom. To capture this a kind of spiritual vein, either with special attraction, or with absolute strength to capture. And the white deer just now is already the strongest spiritual vein within 1,000 miles, and I was attracted to Bianbei City by me." Luo Tian was a little surprised, and said, "It's still like this?" Yi Tongling said, "Of course, it's just a pity that the spiritual veins in the entire Yefeng kingdom are extremely rare, and the upper limit is too low, so I would like to suggest, young master, to move the family away." Luo Tian squeezed his chin with his hands, and said, "Old Yi, can you teach me the trick you just pulled the spirit veins?" Yi Tongling said, "Of course this is possible, but although this method looks simple, it is not that simple to use. Not only does it require strong soul power support, it also requires extremely high control of spiritual energy." As he spoke, he used his soul power to read a scripture to Luo Tian. "Okay, young master, let's enter the city." Then, Yi Tongling said. However, Luo Tian shook his head and said, "Wait a minute." Yi Tongling was stunned for a moment, and said with a smile, "Master, do you want to finish reading this scripture? I advise you not to worry, it's better to take your time. This scripture was obtained through hard work by my subordinates. Looking at our Fenglinzhu, it is also the number 1 spiritual meridian." He was about to continue talking, but Luo Tian had already opened his eyes. Seeing this, Yi Tongling thought that Luo Tian had given up, so he said with a smile, "My lord, don't be discouraged, it is extremely difficult to cultivate scriptures of this level. Back then, when my subordinates got the scriptures, they just read them through. It took a full half a month. He wanted to comfort Luo Tian, but who knows that on the other side, Luo Tian suddenly grasped the formula. Huh. This is. Yi Tongling was taken aback. He recognized Luo Tian's formula. Isn't that exactly what it says in the scriptures? Could it be that, In the next instant, spiritual scripts appeared on Luo Tian's body. Moreover, these spiritual writings are different from the vague spiritual writings that surfaced on Yi Tongling's body before. Luo Tian's spiritual script became clearer, and each character was shining with golden light, as if there was a Tao rhyme hovering on it. Call. At the same time, a white aura jade rabbit appeared in the distance, and then rushed towards Luo Tian like crazy, rubbing against Luo Tian's thigh continuously, with a look of intimacy. This. Yi Tongling was taken aback when he saw this. He has drawn countless spiritual veins over the years, and he knows these things best. A spirit vein capable of transforming into form, no matter how weak it is still very proud. How can you be so affectionate to people behind you? Could it be that this spirit vein is particularly bad? Yi Tongling thought about it, and reached out to touch the jade rabbit, but who would have thought that the jade rabbit dodged directly, then looked at him with disgusting eyes, and even spat at him. Then, turning his head, he rubbed against Luo Tian's feet flatteringly. Yi Tongling was suddenly embarrassed, also very shocked. Obviously, this spirit vein of Hualing is only for intimacy with Luo Tian. Brother, look! At this moment, Fu Qinglian exclaimed. Yi Tongling turned his head to look, and saw hundreds of spirit veins, large and small, emerging from the ground in the distance, and then rushed to Luo Tian's feet and began to rub against each other. Even, in order to grab the position, several spirit veins fought. Seeing this scene, everyone was completely speechless. Brother, have you ever seen such a thing? Jian Yi asked. Yi Tongling shook his head and said, I've never heard of it. Young master, you are indeed very human. It seems that the three of us, brothers and sisters, are following the right person. That the other two nodded their heads. Then Yi Tongling looked at the surrounding spirit veins, shook his head and said, the only pity is that the spirit veins attracted by the young master are too weak. But Fu Qinglian said, although they are weak, they are superior in numbers. With the gathering of these spiritual veins, the spiritual energy gathered in the future should be comparable to the third-rate forces in Fenglinzhu, right? Yi Tongling nodded and said, almost, but it's a bit of a pity. However, what they don't know is that, in a place hundreds of thousands of miles away, in front of a majestic spiritual mountain, several strong men stand in the air, under a few people. In the middle of the mountain, a transformed golden dragon appeared and disappeared from time to time. As expected of the top-grade earth spirit veins, they have transformed into a dragon. If you can introduce these spirit veins into our Luoyue sect, it will surely keep our Liu Ezong alive for another 3,000 years. An old man said excitedly. It's a pity that this kind of spiritual vein is too difficult to subdue. We have used so many resources, and it took 3 years, but we can only lead this spiritual vein and move it 100 miles south. I really want to introduce my Liu Ezong. There is number 30 years, don't even think about it. Another person said. No matter how many decades, as long as this golden dragon enters my Luoyue sect, it will be worth it. Several other people nodded one after another, but at this moment, the golden dragon on the ground suddenly soared into the sky, looking towards the north with piercing eyes. Chapter 99. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What's going on? What happened to this spirit vein? The old man was suspicious, when he suddenly saw the golden dragon shaking its head and tail, and flew directly to the north. Don't go. The old man was in a daze, and was about to grab it. However, how can the transformation of the earth's spiritual veins be captured at will? The golden dragon dispersed and fell into the ground, vaguely feeling that he was flying to the north at an extremely fast speed. Catch up with me. The old man roared angrily. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, more than a dozen extremely fast figures chased after the golden dragon, but after a while, these people all came back dejectedly. Why are you back? Where's the spirit vein? The old man asked sharply. Old ancestor, we lost track. One said cautiously. What? You bastards, what use are you for? The old man said angrily. Beside him, someone said, Old ancestor, you can't blame them for this matter. The spiritual veins are naturally raised, so it is difficult to find them. If he wants to leave, no one can catch up with him. That the old man's face was livid, and then he spat out a mouthful of blood. Hateful, the old man spent half his life searching for such a holy land-level earth spirit vein, but he escaped. Investigate for me, you must find out where this spirit vein went. The old man yelled frantically. Yes, that the rest of the people responded in unison. On the other side, outside the North City. It's been a long time since the spirit veins reappeared, it's probably the limit. Jian said after scanning around. Brother, what do you think? Fu Qinglian looked at Yi Tongling and asked. The latter twisted his beard with his hands, looked at Luo Tian with a shocked expression, and said, Young master's talent is so high, I have never seen it in my life. If he didn't practice martial arts, but concentrated on practicing that scripture, it might be thousands of years old. Afterwards, he can attract a spirit vein of the Holy Land level. Spiritual veins at the Holy Land level? What's that like? The two asked curiously. Yi Tongling sighed, speaking of which, I haven't seen it before. After all, you all know that there are only a few holy places in the world. People like us don't even have the qualifications to approach them. However, I have heard seniors say that the spirit veins at the Holy Land level are also extraordinary after being transformed. For example, there are huge spirit turtles, golden crows, and even the legendary golden dragon. Yi Tongling was talking endlessly, but he didn't notice that Jian Yi and Fu Qinglian, who were facing him, had changed their expressions. Brother, what kind of golden dragon are you talking about? Fu Qinglian asked. This, I just heard people say that the legendary golden dragon is thousands of feet long, with golden light shining on its body, and there is the aura of the great Tao inside it. Yi Tongling said. Does it still have 5 claws, and there are lightning flashes in the eyes? Jian Yi added. Oh. Brother, you actually know this? I haven't heard you say it before. You also understand spiritual veins. Yi Tongling was a little surprised. Jian Yi smiled wryly, pointed at Yi Tongling's back, and said, Brother, do you think the golden dragon you mentioned looks like this? Yi Tongling glanced back, and found behind him, there was a 1,000-foot golden dragon. The golden light shone, and the thunder in his eyes could not be extinguished. Yi Tongling turned around, nodded and said, That's right, it looks like this. Alas, it's just a pity, this is something in legends, and I'm afraid I won't be able to see it in my life. Fu Qinglian, Jian Yi, and King Jinpeng, and at this moment, Yi Tongling remembered something. He turned back again, staring at the shadow of the golden dragon, and jumped up in shock. I'm going. Isn't it? It's really a golden dragon spirit vein. A Holy Land level spirit vein. Yi Tongling was completely stunned. There are few such things in the world. In the end, he was attracted by Luo Tian. You know, this is Luo Tian's first time drawing spiritual veins. For a moment, he looked at Luo Tian again, feeling a huge shock in his heart. I thought that I already knew his talent very well, but now I know. I don't know anything. Yi Tongling smiled wryly. At this moment, Luo Tian slowly opened his eyes. Oh, I'm exhausted. This scripture consumes so much soul power. If I go on like this, I will consume half of my soul power in at most 1 hour. Luo Tian shook his head and said. Yi Tongling next to him almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. After engaging in such a big battle, it turned out that even half of the soul power was not consumed. Is this guy human? But now, obviously, is not the time to think about this. My lord, this is a Holy Land level spirit vein. Now you need to find a way to let him integrate into the land here. Once this spirit vein is willing to live here, then Bianbei City will become a paradise comparable to a holy land. Yi Tongling said. Huh. This thing is so powerful. Luo Tian asked in surprise. He looked Jinlong up and down, then pointed in the direction of Luo's house, and said, "You, live there." This time, Yi Tongling almost spit out a mouthful of old blood again. The transformation of spiritual veins is an extremely noble thing, especially for this level of spiritual veins. It is estimated that even those strong in the Holy Land must offer them like their ancestors. But what about Luo Tian? He even ordered directly. Wouldn't it be a big loss if Jinlong got angry and left directly? Yi Tongling just wanted to remind Luo Tian. But at this moment, call. The golden dragon circled, soared directly into the sky, and then fell towards Bianbei City violently. Call. The transformed golden dragon disappeared instantly after touching the ground, as if it had never appeared before. Yi Tongling was dumbfounded. This golden dragon actually obeyed Luo Tian's order. Said to let him live there. Did he really go? Is this still the spirit vein of pride? Are you kidding me? And as the golden dragon fell, the spirit veins of the other transformations also dissipated. At the same time, the entire Bianbei City, as well as the aura around it, instantly rose to an unbelievable level. Yi Tongling stretched out his hand to support it, and he could even feel the viscous aura, which turned into substance. Is this the spiritual energy of the Holy Land level? It's too scary. Living in this kind of place, even an idiot can quickly cultivate to Yukong and even Tongxian, right? Although Beiqing here is not a holy place, with this aura, there is already a prototype of a holy place. That the three demons looked at each other, their eyes full of shock. Let's go to the city. Luo Tian clapped his hands and said. Several people immediately followed behind and entered Bianbei City together. At this time, the entire Bianbei City was boiling. A secret room. My God, what's the matter with this spiritual energy? I thought it would take half a month to break through, but why did it break through all of a sudden just now? In a vegetable field. God, am I dazzled? Why is my cabbage as big as a tree? Inside a residence a second before. Brother, Beiqing is not a good place for you, and your house is not in a good location. With such thin aura, I am afraid that my child's realm will fall when I live here. I will give you 5,000 low-grade spirit stones. It's already a big price. Isn't it too expensive for you to ask for? The next second, the golden dragon fell to the ground, full of aura. This spiritual energy, how did it become so thick? Just taking a few breaths, it's like drinking spiritual soup. Brother, don't say anything. 8,000 low-grade spirit stones, I'll give it to you now. The person who wanted to sell the house on the other side also came back to his senses, and said angrily, 8,000? Are you kidding me? With the concentration of aura in our northern city, there are number 8,000 million low-grade spirit stones. Don't even think about it. On this day, everything in Bianbei City was different. Chapter 100 Black Robe Reappears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Luo Tian, who returned home, called everyone in the clan together, and roughly explained what happened before. Only then did everyone know that the changes that took place in Bianbei City today were actually due to Luo Tian's attracting spiritual veins, especially, after everyone knew that Luo Tian had finally attracted a dragon vein of the Holy Land level. Everyone was boiling. However, despite the excitement, some people still raised concerns. You must know that a spiritual vein at the Holy Land level will definitely attract outsiders to covet it. If there is a strong enemy coming, Luo Tian can talk about it when he is in the city. If not, wouldn't it be dangerous? To this, Luo Tian also agreed. Therefore, he asked Yi Tongling to take charge of rebuilding Bianbei City. In addition to rebuilding the city defense, it is also necessary to set up a powerful defensive formation. Yi Tongling naturally accepted the order happily. One must know that his talent in formations was well known throughout Fenglinsu back then. At the same time, Luo Tian asked Jian Yi and Fu Qinglian to guide the people in their cultivation, although it is said that Luo Tian passed down a few moves of the heavenly Dao Kung Fu. However, except for Luo Tian, the progress of the others in practicing these exercises was too slow. Therefore, it is still necessary to let them practice some other skills and martial arts. After settling everything, Luo Tian set off again. This time, he let Sanmo and Niu Wufang's mother and son look after the house. While he and King Jinpeng embarked on a journey to Xuanhuan Kingdom, 5 days later, the border of Xuanhuan Kingdom, Luo Tian, was on King Jinpeng's back, bored. "Master, the Xuanhuan Kingdom is just ahead," King Jinpeng said aloud. "Oh. Is it finally here?" Luo Tian's eyes lit up. The rush for the past few days has made him uncomfortable. Correspondingly, he became more determined to quickly improve his realm. After all, according to his calculations, as long as he is strong enough, the teleportation distance of that day's movement will be farther. At that time, with such a small distance, a thought will arrive: why do you have to fly in the sky for so long? Just as Luo Tian was thinking wildly, King Jinpeng, who was sitting under him, suddenly tilted his body and fell down sharply. "Ha! Jinpeng, what the hell are you doing?" Luo Tian exclaimed. "Ah, me." King Jinpeng trembled, and immediately resumed flying smoothly. "Master, I'm sorry, I don't know why, but as soon as I approached the capital of Xuanhuan, I felt nauseated and dizzy, and I almost fainted just now." King Jinpeng said with some guilt. This sentence made Luo Tian stunned. "Nauseous and dizzy? Did you feel anything?" Luo Tian asked. King Jinpeng shook his head and said, "I don't know, I just feel that when I get close, the blood vessels feel suppressed, and then I almost fainted." "Blood suppression?" Luo Tian was greatly surprised. King Jinpeng is a divine beast, and he has accepted the original power of the Dragon Clan, so he is already extremely powerful in blood. What kind of blood can suppress him? "Well, let me down first," Luo Tian said. "Yes." King Jinpeng obeyed and fell to the ground. Afterwards, he tried to fight with Luo Tian, advancing from land. However, as before, when he got close to a certain range of the capital, he would feel sick and dizzy. "It's weird, I didn't feel the breath of the formation, nor did I feel the attack of the soul power." Luo Tian frowned. With his current strength of soul power, if someone wanted to plot against him, it would be courting death, but in this way, it becomes even more strange. "I don't know, maybe, it's just a matter of blood. In the capital of Xuanhuan Kingdom, there may be the nemesis of our Jinpeng clan." King Jinpeng deduced. "The nemesis of the Jinpeng clan? Forget it, since you can't enter the city, I'll go there by myself. You wait for me nearby, and I'll come to you when things are done," Luo Tian said. King Jinpeng said with guilt on his face, "Master, I'm sorry." Luo Tian waved his hand, and entered the capital of Xuanhuan Kingdom alone. At the same time, above the city tower, in a dark corner, a man in a black robe watched Luo Tian enter the city with cold eyes. This person is the master of the son of the Xuanhuan king, Luo Tian. He squeezed out 2 words between his teeth. "Wei, is this the kid who ruined your plan?" "It looks like nothing special." Behind the man in black robe, another man in black robe slowly appeared. Judging from the clothes, the black robes of the two are almost exactly the same. It's just that the word Wei is embroidered on Xuanhuan King's master cuff. Then the man in black robe appeared, with the word Hai embroidered on his cuff. "Hi, what are you doing here?" Wei recognized the visitor without turning her head. "Hee, what am I here for?" "It's not because of your inability to do things well. Let me take a look at the other people in the teaching. Let me tell you, as the above said, you destroyed 3 soul seeds at once, and those big men in the teaching, very dissatisfied, without hearing the words, he squeezed his fist and hummed, 'How much better are you than me?' Hai smiled, and suddenly waved his hand. A black crow landed on his shoulder. 'Three-eyed ghost crow. You actually put a soul seed on this kind of thing? Wait, a soul-level soul seed?' Wei's eyes showed shock. Hai grinned, and said, 'You read that right, I created him after refining millions of monster souls. How about it, do you want me to let him kill that Luo Tian for you?' Excuse me? With its current strength, it should be very easy to kill that Luo Tian." Wei took a deep breath, calmed down his emotions again, and then said coldly, "There is no need for that, I will personally take that Luo Tian's life." Hai laughed and said, "I have to remind you that according to the religious rules, we cannot directly attack people." Wei said lightly, "I don't need you to tell me, I have already made a plan in Mount Sumeru. As long as Luo Tian dares to go to Mount Sumeru, he will definitely die. Hai grinned and said, really? That's the best, otherwise if you fail again, I don't want to clean up the mess for you. After speaking, Hai's figure gradually became unreal, and finally disappeared together with her three-eyed ghost crow. Then, Mi also disappeared. On the other side of the long street, Luo Tian frowned. In front of him, there were two flies, constantly swaying in front of him. Call. With a wave of Luo Tian's hand, the two flies were directly slapped to death in front of him. Trash, I don't want to mess with you, do you really think I can't kill you? Bad luck. Luo Tian said to the corpses of the two flies. After speaking, he walked along the long street and came to a government office. This is the registration place for Xuanhuan martial arts. Applicants take out tokens and register. An official from Xuanhuan Kingdom said impatiently, waving a folding fan in one hand. In front of him, several young people handed over tokens one by one and registered the information. When it was Luo Tian's turn, the official took a look at the token and was stunned. Night Breeze Nation actually sent someone here this year. What's their name, what realm? He raised his head and asked. Luo Tian, at the 9th level of Qi Gathering Realm. Luo Tian said, snapped. The pen in the officer's hand fell to the table. He looked up, and Luo Tian said, 9th level of Qi Gathering Realm, you dare to come to see Xuanhuan Jue?